for my 10th one, I go Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, man. And the reason I do that, when I look at Allen's numbers this past season, over 3,000 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 picks, very productive. But then when you look at Diggs this past season, 63 receptions, 1,100 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. But just throughout his career over his, 5 years, 1,000. We had 1,100 this past year, 1,000 a year before that, 849, 900, 700. So he's always consistently balling out. And when you factor in that he's going to go to that Bills offense where he's going to be the guy, he's not going to have to share with the Thielen. That means I'm anticipating those numbers going up even more. And if, depending on how you feel about Kirk Cousins to Josh Allen, hey man, I don't really view it as that crazy gap. It's like how we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, man, I think that you see an increase in both of their numbers in that regard because Josh has never played with a receiver to the caliber of Stefon Diggs, man. So that's that, man.
Giving that Bills love there.
Well, my thing was this, man. I'm not putting Phillip Rivers and T.Y. Hilton up there because I feel like Phillip is definitely on a decline. I think his situation is drastically different than Ben's and even Brady's. I don't see that. Mm-hmm. And with T.Y. is always banged up. Mm-hmm. So even with that, I'm anticipating T.Y. missing 3 games because that's what he does every year. He misses time.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have Ryan Tannehill or A.J. Brown up there either. Nice. Now, the thing is this. I like A.J. Brown. And I do think Tannehill Tannehill obviously had a ton of success last year and he got the contract that he had, and they do have their offense returning with Derrick Henry. But I do think that it's not going to come as easy this year for A.J. Brown because like we talked about before, year one, they don't have a lot of tape on. Year one, they're still trying to adapt to how they're going to handle Derrick Henry. Year one, they also had a quarterback switch going from Mariota to Tannehill. This year, they know we're game planning for Tannehill. We're game planning for A.J. Brown. We're game planning on how to stop Derrick Henry. It's not the guessing game anymore. It's not where last year, can Tannehill make those throws? Can Tannehill do that? Hey, man, just give Tannehill that until he proves it. It's not that. You know what I mean? So I think now this year, you're going to see it be different. And when I look at him, in terms of Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown, I'm not as confident in Ryan Tannehill still. Like, I think he's going to have a good season. And that's why I think we differ. I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff. But I don't see it where he's going to go out there and be the reason why that offense is what it is. That offense starts with Derrick Henry. And then from there, the rest of those guys get their play on that. Whereas when I'm looking at Josh Allen, it starts with him up there in Buffalo. He's going to have that opportunity to do what he needs to do. He's going to be the reason why they're successful. And they also have an elite defense. So that's why I have those 2 guys over Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown and Phillip Rivers and T.Y. Hilton.
You didn't have Russell or Deke in there either, right?
I didn't. Well, and this is the thing, man. When I told you, I said I love Russell. I think in terms of his style of play, I think he's highly productive. But for me, with Metcalf, is a similar situation. With DK, the 1 year thing, it always bugs me because we've seen it numerous times where a guy comes in 1 year, they're crazy successful. Then after that, people catch up to their style of play. We saw that even with Baker Mayfield, year 1 to year 2 is tough. And when I also think about Russell Wilson, it wasn't until probably midway to the end of the season where we were like, yo, DK is the guy there. Before then, it was still kind of, all right, is he going with the tight ends? Is it more running game? Like similar to what we said with Mahomes, right? We don't just think Mahomes, Tyreek. We think Mahomes, Chiefs offense. When I think of Russ Houdini. He's going to find a way to make something happen out of nothing. But they also have the other receiver. What's his name? Lockett. And I think more so Russ to Lockett than I think Russ to Metcalf personally.
Yeah, I did have a slash with DK where you could make an argument for DK or Lockett. I just think DK is going to end up being the number one guy. But the production has been there with Lockett.
But I do think it will evolve to that as well. But when I think of the guys we've named, Breeze, Thomas, it's clear, synonymous. Ryan, Julio, synonymous. Mahomes, Tyreek, we said we can debate Tyreek or just offense or Tyreek and or Mahomes, Kelsey. We can debate that.
Might have to do a tight end duo.
Yeah. But then we also look Dak, Amari Cooper. It's clear. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Brady, Evans, Ben, Juju, Rodgers, Adam. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how I looked at all those words with Russ. I didn't feel like if we're rating just quarterbacks, well, of course you put Russ on a list. Yeah. But if we're talking the duo, I don't view that duo the same as I'm viewing these other guys right now.